And we are live. What's up, y'all? My name is Fitz. Welcome to this live stream. Tonight, we're going to be diving into a quick little stream about the Supreme Court's decision. Wait for this. The Supreme Court's decision to approve racial profiling. Say that again. The Supreme Court in California has approved racial profiling when it comes to illegal immigrants. That's right. Illegal immigrants are now allowed to be racially profiled in California. According to the Supreme Court, I have the documents. We're going to go over the documents, and I want to have a deeper discussion on how this impacts Black people. I want to have a deeper discussion on how this impacts Black people, because understand, right? When laws are passed or there's precedent, that then gives the authority and ability, almost like the foundation for future things to happen. And so I just actually dropped a video, and I'm going to drop another one about this. And you can go see, I give my reaction and everything. But I wanted to have more of a dialogue here for the people that are in the stream. And if you're watching this on replay as well, I think you're going to get some value for it. So what's going on? So we're going to go through this document, but I want to give a little pretext as to how we got here, right? I want to give a pretext to how we got here. So I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if you remember a guy by the name of Joe Biden, you know, white dude, late 70s, might be in his 80s, hundreds, I don't know. He decided that it'd be a great idea, just, you know, like a fantastic idea, the best idea, I would say. He decided that it would be the best idea in the world to allow illegal immigrants in this country, right? That Joe Biden just decided that, you know, he woke up and him and the Democrat Party decided it would be, you know, a cool thing to allow a bunch of illegal immigrants to just come into this country, fly them wherever they wanted to go, and treat them like superstars. And so what ended up happening was millions and millions of immigrants saw the bat signal in the sky. They saw Joe Biden's bat signal in the sky, and they came here. They came here. And there were videos that I was hearing about that the Chinese were posting online, actually showing people how to illegally enter the United States, right? There was videos on TikTok showing how to illegally enter the United States. And so what did people do? They hired coyotes. They came over here. They showed up. And what happened? They showed up to the border, and what happened? They weren't turned away. They weren't told, go home. They were told, this is your home. We're going to give you some court date that's years and years out. And, you know, just come back. Just come back on your court date, and then we'll figure everything else. But in the meantime, here's some food stamps. Here's some health care. Here's a plane ticket. Go where you want. And millions of people did. Well, it turns out when that was released to the public and more people started to know about it, Americans were unhappy. And so they voted Donald Trump in because Donald Trump said, we're going to get rid of the illegal immigrants and we're going to stop more from coming over. Sounds simple enough, right? That's what his campaign, a big part of his campaign was, stopping illegal immigration and getting the illegal immigrants who came here gone. Home. Back home. Wherever you came from, right? So they started to run into some issues with sanctuary cities, and they started to run into issues where certain cities were not cooperating, and they ran into one of the biggest issues of all, right? And that brings us where we're at tonight. One of the biggest issues that they ran into was that the illegal immigrants, a lot of them, especially those that are Spanish speaking in particular, they blend in with legal citizens. They blend in with people that are legally able to be here. And therein lies the biggest problem. Because how do you get rid of millions of people when they look like people that should be here? How do you do that? How do you do that? Right? I liken it to this. It'd be like trying to throw out old food that was moldy, that didn't have mold on it, that didn't look like it had mold on it, didn't smell any worse. You could not tell the difference between old food that was stale and bad and food that was good. That's what this is like. We don't know which food to throw out. And we faced this problem for years within the Black community. What do I mean? Well, if you remember stop and frisk laws and, all of those things that would happen with proactive policing, where police would go look for crime, right? Police would go look for crime. And what would they use? Skin color. They're Black. They're in this neighborhood. That's a criminal. That was the logic. And so they would go and approach the criminal, and maybe sometimes they would be a criminal and other times they wouldn't be. And therein lies the problem. We have rights in America that say you cannot be discriminated against. You cannot be stopped. Just like your race cannot be suspicious. You cannot, just because you look a certain way does not mean you've committed a crime. Does not mean you're a criminal. Well, now the Supreme Court has said that in California, they are allowed to use race as a factor to profile somebody, to legally profile somebody. Now, normally I would say, that's them people's business, right? That's them people's business. And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to tell you, right? Me personally, I want everyone to succeed, but I spend a majority of my time and my effort and my thinking power and figuring out solutions. I focus that on the Black community. Why? Because I consider myself to be an African in America. I believe that African people in America and in the diaspora are more interested and have a more vested interest in fixing the problems in our community than other people do. And so I focus a majority of my time and energy on issues that impact Black people, not because I dislike other groups, but because that's what I've chosen to do. And I've also found that other people within other groups do the same thing for their communities. Whether you're a conservative Republican, you look out for those people. Whether you're whatever, you look out for people that you want to look out for. So that's where I'm at with it. So immediately when I saw that the Supreme Court had legally approved racial discrimination or racial profiling, I would say, I think it's discrimination, but racial profiling, I thought, how will this impact the Black community? How will this impact the Black community? Now, I know what people are going to say. Well, they're just approving it for illegal immigrants. They're just approving it for illegal immigrants. They would never do that to Black people. They would never try to expand that to Black people. This is just to get illegal immigrants out. Really? Really? When has the United States government ever just stopped at one thing? Think about it like this, right? The Civil Rights Act, everyone knew it was for Black people, but then it started including things like sex and gender and all these other things that it was not originally intended for. Why? Because they wanted to broaden it. And that's what ends up happening with these things is they end up broadening. And so you think it's just illegal immigrants today. You think that they're just going to use racial profiling on illegal immigrants today. And it wasn't just racial profiling, and we're going to get into it. They can also profile based on your location, where you're at. It says things like if they're at bus stops, we know that they're going to Home Depots and things like that. I just want people to sit back and think, like, if you're somebody that agrees with this, and I'm going to get into my thoughts on this. If you're somebody that agrees that profiling should be approved and it should be okay, I want to ask, are you only okay with it because it favors your perspective right now? Like, just sit back and critically think, could this be used against me? Could this be used against me? In other words, I liken it to this. If you had a weapon on you, let's say you had a weapon, and would you pull the trigger if you thought there was a 50% chance that it would backfire and hit you? Because this is what I see happening with the Supreme Court approving racial profiling with illegal immigrants. I see it not only going into race, but politics as well. You don't think at a certain point that they're going to use profiling on people who are conservatives or Democrats, depending on who's in power, based on certain ideas because you're suspicious? I mean, just look at what we saw with the Charlie Kirk assassination, right? Before any information came out, what were they saying? We know the shooter must have been trans. We know they were a leftist. They were saying that before any information came out. And if you go down the rabbit hole and you try to strategize and think about how this can be applied in the future, don't think that they're going to stop at illegal immigration. See, this is one of the problems that I had with, what was it? This was one of the problems that I had with them trying to ban flag burning, was because I saw it as a way to weaken our First Amendment rights. See, a lot of people will say, well, Fitz, you think the flag should be burned? You're against making flag burning illegal? You think it should be, you think it's okay? Do you hate this country? So you just want to burn flag? No, I have no interest in burning a flag. I have mixed feelings about the country. And at the same time, when you give the government power to take away your rights, understand you are putting yourself in a worse position, because now you're allowing your rights to be violated, and you're allowing yourself to be put in a position to where when bad things happen and things that shouldn't happen, they're normalized. So I just don't understand why we want to normalize giving our rights away. I just don't know why we want to. And I got something for y'all. I got these Uno cards. I'm about to show y'all exactly what y'all doing. Right? Let me find this. Let me go ahead and find this, right? I'm about to use these Uno cards to show y'all exactly what y'all doing when you give your rights away. When you give your rights away because it may temporarily benefit you because you want something done now, right? You want to give your rights away. All right. I'm going to show you. I got this card. I got this great Uno card. I'm going to show y'all what y'all doing right now. Okay. So here's an Uno card, and I'm going to make an example. Okay. The Constitution was written in a way to limit the power of government. The Constitution was written in a way to limit the power of government. And so when the government then comes along and says, and make no mistake, it's still the government, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you think your guy's in power or not, it's still the government at the end of the day, whether Trump's in office, Biden's in office, still the government. The government comes along and says, hey, we know you have free speech. Mm-hmm. We know it's against the law to discriminate against you based on race. We know that. But come closer. Come closer. We allowed these illegal immigrants in, and now we we want to turn a blind eye to your rights. Okay. We're a good government. We're not gonna use these laws against citizens. We're not gonna use these laws against it. We're just gonna use them against illegal immigrants. So please give us your rights. And guess what we do? Guess what we do as American citizens right here? Reverse. We reverse and give the government our rights. We reverse, we reverse and give the government our rights because we want to see our side temporarily win. We want to see our side temporarily win. And I'm going to get into this documentation. I'm going to get into this documentation, but before I do, make sure you hit the like button. If you're watching live, drop a super chat. I'm reading all super chats tonight. Drop a comment, and I may drop a link if y'all want to come up and speak, but you do got to be on camera. I may drop a link if you want to come up and speak, give your perspective, but you got to be on camera. I'm going to get into this documentation. Let me share my screen. I'm going to get into this documentation. All right, let's see what's going on. What do we got here? All right. I'm going to get into this documentation. All right, so right here we have the Supreme Court of the United States, Kavanaugh. Okay. So this application, right? This application, the application for stay presented to Justin Kagan and by her referred to the court is granted. All right, let's see. So it says right here, the Immigration and Nationality Act authorizes immigration officers to interrogate any alien or person believed to be an alien as to his right to be or remain in the United States. So in other words, the Immigration and Nationality Act authorizes ICE and agents to interrogate aliens or people who they believe to be aliens. All right, let's continue. If they have a reasonable suspicion based on specific articulable facts that the person being questioned is an alien illegal to the United States. Okay, cool. So if we scroll down here, this is what I was explaining earlier. The problem. Okay, this is the problem of how we got here. The government estimates that at least 15 million people are in the United States illegally. Many millions illegally have entered or illegally overstayed just in the last few years. Illegal immigration is especially pronounced in Los Angeles, among other locales in the United States. About 10% of the people in Los Angeles are illegally in the United States, meaning about 2 million people. 2 million out of the population of 20 million. All right. That doesn't sound good, right? So that's why we see all of this activity happening in LA. All right. Now let's go deeper. And again, this is documentation. Not surprisingly, given those extraordinary numbers, U.S. immigration officers have prioritized immigration enforcement in Los Angeles area. The government sometimes makes brief investigative stops to check the immigration status of those who gather in locations where people are hired for day jobs. Home Depot, things like that, construction sites. All right. So these places often do not require paperwork and are therefore attractive to illegal immigrants and who do not speak much, if any, English. If the officers learn that the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the United States, they promptly let the individual go. If the individual is illegally in the United States, the officers may arrest the individual and initiate the process for removal. All right. Now, I want to make it clear, right? I want to make it clear, and we're going to get back to the documentation. That sounds good on paper. And I believe that the illegal immigrants need to go home. They need to go. here's where I think it gets dicey at, right? Here's where I think it gets dicey. Right now, we know, okay, when it comes to illegal immigrants, we know where they hanging out. We know what they kind of look like. We know, if you barely speak English, we know. All right. We know that you're probably not here legally. We know that. All right. The problem becomes, and this is, I think, a fundamental issue, is the United States has legally said we don't discriminate based on race. We don't discriminate based on race. So now the United States has to go against rights that citizens have in order to try to find people who are not citizens, people who are here illegally. One of the issues that I see with that is it may be difficult as like, okay, the illegal immigrants know that you're going to Home Depot. They know you're going to these places. So they may start blending in with society more. They may start doing things to blend in with the Latinos that are legally here. What do you do then? And this is one of the fundamental issues with profiling is when you get it wrong, there can be devastating consequences because, I'll speak from like the Black perspective and what happened in the Black community. They're not just going up. They weren't just going up to Black people, stopping and frisking. They were cussing them out. It got brutal. They were making judgments about them. There was disrespect. There was all these things happening. And it leaves a sour taste. What happens when you start profiling the Latinos that are legally supposed to be here, that were born here? What happens when you do that too much and then they start fearing for their lives and their children start fearing for their lives just because as you interact with the cops more, things are more likely to go bad? Like in your everyday life, you're not used to a grown man cussing you out and telling you what to do and stuff. So when these officers pull you over, we don't know who's pulling them over, who's having a bad day, who feels empowered to treat them disrespectfully because they may think they're here illegally. We don't know that. So that's where I could see it going wrong, if I'm being real. But let's continue with the documentation. Okay. Here's where I think it gets interesting at. Immigration stops based on reasonable suspicion of illegal presence have been an important component of U.S. immigration enforcement for decades across several presidential administrations. In this case, however, the district court enjoined U.S. immigration officers from making investigative stops in Los Angeles area when the stops are based on the following factors or combination of factors. Presence at particular locations such as bus stops, car washes, day laborer pickup sites, agriculture sites, and the like. The type of work one does, speaking Spanish or speaking English with an accent, an apparent race or ethnicity. Okay. So there we have it. They're saying if they cannot use those factors, it's going to hamper their ability to obtain, I guess, jurisdiction, to obtain the legal remedies necessary to do what they need to do with illegal immigrants. Here's where I see the problem coming in at. And I alluded to this earlier, right? Does it stop with illegal immigrants? Does it stop with illegal immigrants? I don't think it does. The government in the last couple of years has overreached with power we didn't think that they would be able to use. What happened during the pandemic? Overreach. What did we find out was happening with the government and these social media companies? The government was actually coercing social media companies to censor people. So we have to be careful with the power that we allow the government to use. When we start normalizing stuff just because Trump's in office or Biden's in office or your political person's in office, you don't understand that those same tools can be used against you in the future. You don't understand that. I'll give you one better, right? A perfect example. The Constitution. The Constitution was used against white people in a way that they never thought it would be. What do I mean? When America was first formed and the Constitution was written, Black people were never intended to be able to vote. We were never intended to be free. We damn sure were never intended to be seen as equals to white people. All right? We were never intended to be considered equal under the law with white people. We were not expected to marry white women. The Constitution was not written for us. All right, stay with me. Constitution was not written for Black people. But that same Constitution was used against white people. And now we're here. Now we're here where Black people can vote. We can go get jobs. We can, be considered equal under the law, at least on paper. That happened because of the Constitution. Do I think that if you could go back in time, they go back in time and try to rewrite it to where they did it in a way to where Black people wouldn't have been able to do that? Maybe. I don't know. But the point I'm saying is that any law, any right, any whatever, you have to be careful because at some point it may be able to be used against you in a way that you did not foresee. And all I'm asking is to think critically about whether we want to allow the government to legally say it's okay to racially profile. Do we want to give the government power to say it is legally okay to racially profile? I don't know that we do. Because if they can profile immigrants today, what stops them from profiling Black people tomorrow? If they can profile immigrants today, what's stopping them from profiling Black people tomorrow? What's stopping them from profiling Republicans tomorrow, Democrats tomorrow? What's stopping them? If we're going against one of our most sacred laws, one of our most, something that's supposed to be fundamental, what is stopping them from doing that to anyone, any group tomorrow? Tell me. I want to know in the comments. If they're allowed to do that today to illegal immigrants, what's stopping them? And I'll give you the answer. Nothing. Nothing. And I think what most people don't realize is that sometimes the law or the bill that's being passed is just a foreshadowing for what's to come. Let's be real. It's just a foreshadowing for what's to come. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful on what we allow the government to do and what powers that we give away. Because I'm telling you, it's not going to stop with illegal immigrants. If you're in the stream, make sure you hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Is the government going to stop with illegal immigrants, or are they going to use this against Black people in the future? Let me know what you think in the comment section. These are some good crackers, man. Let me just take a moment to enjoy life. If you're in the stream, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Right now, I'm posing the question. If the government is able to racially discriminate against illegal immigrants today, what's stopping them from doing it against Black people tomorrow? I'm truly curious. What is stopping the government from discriminating against Black people tomorrow if they're doing it to illegal immigrants today? I want to know. Because history shows us When racial profiling is approved, Black communities always pay the price. This isn't just about immigration. It's who has the power to decide who looks suspicious. Who has the power to decide who looks suspicious? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. There have been multiple psychological studies that show even married couples are bad at reading each other's mind. Even married couples are bad at understanding their partner's intention, or bad at understanding, what their partner actually thinks. So now we're going to trust ICE officers and police officers to racially profile and make those decisions. Where's the numbers that show the accuracy of those profiles? Like, where's the numbers that show here's what percentage of the time we get it right when we profile people? Here are the results. I want to see those numbers. What is the success rate of racially profiling? What is the success rate? And where does it end at? Let me guess. You think that, let's say that the government racially profiled 100% and they got all the illegal immigrants out of here. You think they're going to just stop there? You think they're going to say, okay, we're done with that law now. No. When have you ever known the government to backpedal laws like that? They don't. They don't do that. The government does not give up power. The government does not give up power. So right now, I'm posing the question. Who has the power to decide who looks suspicious? Who has the power to decide who looks suspicious? Because today it's people at Home Depot with the illegal immigrants and people that aren't speaking Spanish. Tomorrow, who looks suspicious? What did we just see with Charlie Kirk being assassinated? What is the pattern that we see with people being involved in these mass shootings and these assassinations? They all tend to be white men. How do you decide who looks suspicious with that? How do you proactively stop that? Are we willing to violate people's rights for that suspicion? Who decides what suspicion we act on? This is what I'm getting at. We have to be careful on how we allow these things to creep up on us, because right now we're like, oh yeah, go get them. Go pull up the Home Depot and get SA right now, right? That's what people are. And there's a part of me that's like, go do it. Go do it. They're here illegally. Go do it. But then I think long term and I'm like, wait a minute. Where does it end? If they're able to racially discriminate in this situation, what's stopping them from broadening it? I want to know. If you're watching the live stream right now, let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section. If you're watching the live stream right now, let me know in the comment section. Or if you're watching on replay, let me know in the comment section what is stopping the government from only discriminating against, or from discriminating against Black people based on race, if they're able to do it with illegal immigrants. Because, I think we're at the point now where it's like equal protection under the law means nothing if profiling is normalized. If profiling is normalized, equal protection under the law doesn't exist. If profiling is normalized, how do we say that we are a country of rights and laws and that we value people's independence and things like that? Because anybody could be considered suspicious for anything. And now we're going to say that you're suspicious just based on your race? What doors does that open? This is Pandora's box. We're opening up Pandora's box. We are literally opening it up. And I would argue that we've opened it up and you can't put it back. And that's why people are okay with the Supreme Court saying it's cool. Go discriminate based on race. Go profile based on race. Good cracker. All right. I got a couple more points and then I'm going to shut down. I think right now, Black people need to stop just paying attention to the headlines, and we need to see the patterns. We really need to see the patterns because first, what were we told by Biden and the Democrats? No, illegal immigrants, them coming in, that's not going to impact you. And then what happened? Jobs started coming to the cities, getting more resources than the people that have been there for generations. So they blinded us long enough for the illegal immigrants to come in. And now they're using the illegal immigration situation to put laws on the book that can impact us negatively in the future. Think about that. They allowed illegal immigrants, millions, by the millions, to come in and take opportunity and resources out of the Black community and away from Black people, and then turned around and put laws on the books that allow them to discriminate or racially profile. And you don't think they're going to try to use those same type of tactics and laws when they go into these cities with the National Guard? You don't think they're going to say that it's a national security risk and that they're going to be able to racially profile when they send the National Guard in? Because that's what's going to happen. And I actually think that the National Guard does need to go in, but I think it has to be strategic. I do think that a lot of these cities need extra resources and that crime needs to be a focal point, and we need to understand how we get that under control, not just in the short term where it makes you look good, but in the long term where it actually makes impact. All of those things can be true, but I'm worried about the patterns that I'm seeing. I'm worried about the fact that they let millions of illegal immigrants in and told Black people it was a good thing. And then those same people came and took jobs and resources out of the community and away from Black people. And now you want to get rid of those illegal immigrants. So you're putting laws on the book that will help you get rid of illegal immigrants, but also at the same time set the foundation for you to racially be able to legally discriminate and profile Black people when you so see fit. Which does what? Increases the chances that these private prisons keep profiting, increase the chances that you fill up prisons with Black people in different locations and spread them out strategically so that they count towards your voter base. Did you know that? That when Black people get sent to a prison where they don't even live, they're not even from that area, that they get counted as part of the population, and that increases the chances that they get more representation in the House of Representatives. Did you know that? I mean, it's not just Black people, but of course, we know that Black people represent a disproportionate amount of the prison population. So that's why I'm using that as an example. So what I'm saying is we have to think deeper. We have to be willing to dive in deeper. Because today it's illegal immigrants. Tomorrow, it's going to be who? Black people. I want to leave with a question, right? I want to ask you, who benefits when fear justifies racial targeting? Who benefits when fear justifies racial targeting? And I said this before in a different video, right? I was watching a Ben Shapiro debate where he was talking about reparations and saying that white people today, the people of America today, should not have to pay for reparations for something that happened in the future. So you shouldn't have to pay for past injustice. You shouldn't. You can't punish people today and use. I guess he called it like a lack of justice today to right a wrong from the past. Illegal allowing millions of illegal immigrants to come into this country is a wrong of the past. So why are we allowing civil rights to be violated in the present? That's my question. I don't have the answer. Is it worth it? I don't know. I think it's a slippery slope. I think we really need to understand what it means to give the government the power, give ICE the power to racially discriminate. The other thing, location maybe, I don't know, because that's even dangerous, because we know that a majority of the United States is still segregated. We know that if you allow them to profile even based off of your location, what's stopping them from only profiling people in the hood or only profiling certain suburb if they believe there's too many black people in that suburb and they think that that's suspicious and they want to go in there and terrorize that area? Not saying they would. I just like to think what's possible with what's happening. Like, what are we allowing? What doors are we opening up, and what problems are we inviting in? What problems are we inviting in? If you're in the stream right now, make sure you hit the like button. I appreciate the support. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any thoughts or want to add any perspective, drop a comment right now. If you have any thoughts, any perspective, let me know in the comment section right now. I'll be reading out the comments and doing my best to answer any questions. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Should we be giving the government the power to racially profile people legally? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section. Should we be giving the government the power to legally racially profile people? Because when you open the door to profile one group, you're actually opening the door to profile all groups. That's my concern. Well, said I wouldn't keep y'all long. I hope you got some value from that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching the video at all, you got this far, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Tap in.